What if I told you that what you call little, that which seems insignificant, overlooked, too small to matter, could be exactly what's preparing you for the greatest season of your life? What if I told you that God never initiates a new phase without first training you in the previous one? And what if I told you there is a spiritual secret, a hidden principle, woven throughout the scriptures, that separates those who merely dream from those who actually live out God's purposes? Perhaps today you feel frustrated because nothing seems to change. Feels like you pray, you work, you try, but you still find yourself stuck in the same place. It seems like you see other people moving forward, conquering, celebrating, while you continue to be faithful in things no one sees, no one applauds, no one recognizes. And deep down, the question that hurts is this: why hasn't God moved me to the next season yet? But what if the secret to what you're waiting for isn't in what you haven't received yet, but in what you already have today? What if God isn't testing your capability, but your faithfulness? Because Jesus said something powerful, and maybe you've never realized the weight of these words. Whoever is faithful in little is also faithful in much. Luke 16 verse 10. And this changes everything. It means that often the key to the next season isn't a supernatural miracle. It isn't a major event. It isn't a breakthrough. It's just being faithful in the little things. Today, in this video, you will understand what God really means by this. You'll discover why certain doors haven't opened yet, and you'll learn how to practically activate the change you are waiting for. But before we dive in, welcome to the channel. Here we talk about life in the spirit, transformation, practical faith, and moments where God literally changes lives. So go ahead and like this video now, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, because what you're about to learn today might be the exact missing piece God needs to move you to the next season. Now, answer me in the comments. Do you feel like you are waiting for something big from God, but you are still in the little things? God is watching what you do now. The Bible is full of principles that don't change because God doesn't change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And one of those principles, perhaps one of the most powerful, is this: God watches what you do with what He has placed in your hands now. Before placing much in your hands, He wants to see how you behave with the little. This isn't punishment. It's protection. It's alignment. It's preparation. The truth is that much can destroy someone who hasn't been trained in the little. And this isn't just true for money, opportunities, callings, or open doors. It's true for character, obedience, responsibility, faith, patience, discipline, and even simple day-to-day decisions. The little is a test. The little is a secret ground where God molds you. The little is a silent training that precedes your season of expansion. The problem is, we often don't see the little things as God sees them. We minimize, we ignore, we underestimate. But God doesn't look at the size of the task. He looks at the size of your surrender. That's why, in the next 5 segments, we're going to dive deep into this topic. I will show you step by step what it really means to be faithful in the little and what it doesn't mean. Why God works with principles of progressive growth. How the little prepares you spiritually, emotionally, and even mentally. What happens when you neglect the little, and how to activate the next season of your life with practical steps. Each segment will be like a key, and if you use these keys, you will see that God never left you waiting. He was preparing you. Now that you're ready, let's dive in. Being faithful in the little doesn't mean doing small things. It means doing what God gave you today with a big heart. Because in God's eyes, the little is not a quantity. It's a phase. It's a training stage. It's a refining process. It's a territory of faithfulness. And often, this stage of the little is exactly where many people give up, because the little seems invisible. It seems unimportant. It seems like it has no impact on the future. But God's vision is different from ours. We see the now, but God sees what the now is building. Therefore, being faithful in the little means being excellent in what no one is watching, honoring God in silent stages, treating small opportunities as if they were major doors, serving as if it were for the King of Kings, not for people, persisting when the moment isn't glamorous. Faithfulness is not glamour. It is depth. It is commitment. It is consistency on ordinary days. Many people think faithfulness is something extraordinary, but the truth is that faithfulness is made of habits, not events. It is built in repetitions, not emotional peaks. It is formed in environments where no one is applauding. Being faithful in the little means responding to God like this: Father, I'm not seeing everything I asked for, but I will honor everything you have placed in my hand today. And this is where the spiritual principle begins to build. Jesus didn't say, if you are faithful in much, then I will give you the little. He said the opposite. God first observes your faithfulness in smaller environments and then promotes you to bigger ones. Think of David. Before defeating Goliath, he was taking care of sheep, animals, in an isolated field. No audience, no applause. And what was David doing there? He fought lions and bears. In secret, no audience, no status. This is faithfulness in the little things. Fighting small battles when no one is watching because you know they are also part of the calling. And when you see the way God acts, you realize something powerful. The little is the stage for training. The much is the stage for revelation. What God reveals before men is first trained in the invisible. Therefore, being faithful in the little means understanding that God isn't delaying your life. He is building your life. Many people get tired of the little things because they want to see the much right away. But God asks, if I give you something huge today, will you have the maturity to sustain it? In the little, He gives you roots. In the much, He gives you fruit. And the truth is, there is no healthy much without deep roots. Perhaps you are living a little in some area. Little money, few opportunities, few resources, few clients, little strength, few answers, little visibility. But don't confuse little with irrelevant. Today's little is tomorrow's all. Today's little is the beginning of the season to come. Because God never promotes someone based on the size of what they have, but based on the size of their faithfulness with what they have. The world evaluates quantity. God evaluates heart. And perhaps you are praying for a big door without realizing that its key is in what you do with the small door God has opened now. The question isn't, when will God give me the much? The question is, how have I been treating the little? This is the true secret to spiritual, emotional, and even material growth. One of the greatest struggles of the Christian is the feeling that God is taking too long. Taking too long to open a door. Taking too long to answer a prayer. Taking too long to bring a change. Taking too long to manifest a dream. And because of this feeling of delay, many people fall into spiritual, emotional, and even physical anxiety. But there is a profound truth, a truth that liberates, that calms, and that reveals the heart of God. And it is simple. God doesn't work with speed. God works with progression. Speed is human. Progression is divine. Speed demands quick results. Progression demands constant maturity. Speed thinks, I want to get there fast. Progression thinks, I want to be prepared when I get there. And the question is, why does God choose progression even when we cry out for speed? Because God knows something we ignore. Growth that is too fast destroys more than it builds. And this isn't just spiritual, it's a universal principle. A tree that grows too fast develops a hollow trunk. A building rushed up becomes a risk. An athlete without a foundation gets injured at their peak. A blessing without preparation becomes a burden. A door that's too big for a small person leads to a fall. That's why God doesn't place you in the next season before your roots are ready to sustain it. The process is not punishment. The process is protection. God loves you too much to give you something you can't carry. And here is the truth many Christians ignore. Faithfulness in the little is the process God uses to build the shoulder that will carry the much. The little is a spiritual gym. It's a training room. It's the environment where God strengthens invisible muscles. The muscle of discipline, the muscle of consistency, the muscle of humility, the muscle of obedience, the muscle of patience, the muscle of faith. Gifts may get you to some places, but only character keeps you there. and character is only built through progression. That's why when you pray, "Lord, I want to grow," God answers, "Then I will prepare you." When you ask, "Lord, I want to advance," He answers, "Then I will strengthen you." When you say, "Lord, I'm ready," He says, "Child, let me show you what still needs to mature." And this is where many people get frustrated, because they want speed and don't understand why God operates in stages. But think with me, if God gave you everything you asked for today, would you have the emotional maturity to handle it? Would you have the wisdom to manage it? Would you have the humility to stay grounded? Would you have the patience to sustain it? Would you have the vision to multiply it? Because what God gives, He wants to see bear fruit. He doesn't just give things. He gives missions. And missions require preparation. That's why many people think God is silent, when in reality, He is working on the inside. God's silent process is the factory of destinies. It's in the silence that He adjusts your motivations, heals your wounds, restores your intentions, purifies your ambitions, aligns your mind, consolidates your identity, strengthens your faith, transforms you into someone ready for the next season. The little you are living in today is not a delay. It is a lesson. It's like a teacher preparing a student for a test they don't even know the size of yet. God knows the season that is coming, and He doesn't want you to just reach it. He wants you to remain in it, and remaining requires more maturity than conquering. Therefore, if God accelerated the process beyond what was necessary, you would arrive fast, but you would fall fast. That's why He works in stages, and each stage has a purpose. The stage of waiting forms patience. The stage of scarcity forms trust. The stage of silence forms depth. The stage of obedience forms character. The stage of the little forms responsibility. The stage of repetition forms excellence. The stage of service forms humility. Do you see? Everything that seems little and slow is, in fact, construction. And God works like an artisan. He wastes nothing. Every tear, every frustration, every attempt, every door that didn't open, every moment you thought was the end, all of this is building you for the next season. That is why faithfulness in the little things is the key to spiritual promotion. Because God doesn't reward quantity. He rewards faithfulness. And faithfulness can only be proven in the little, in the silence, in the hidden place. This is the progression that prepares you for what you asked for. Before the big door, God builds the big heart. Before the new season, He adjusts the inner season. Before placing something in your hands, He works on your being. Because the next season won't just be a place you arrive at. It will be a place where you flourish. Sometimes God works in the most silent parts of our lives. He doesn't choose the stage, the spotlight, or the moment we are seen. He chooses the secret, the place where intentions are exposed, where there is no audience, no praise, no recognition, where our heart shows who we really are. And it is exactly there, in the invisible, that God tests the faithfulness that precedes promotion. Imagine a cinematic scene, a vast field at dawn. The light, still weak, touches the dry earth. And, in the corner of that scene, someone is digging a small hole in the hard ground. From afar, no one would notice. It doesn't look like much. It doesn't look grand. It doesn't look like the start of a new season. But, in God's eyes, that silent, almost invisible movement is extremely significant, because heaven values small acts with big intentions. It's in the secret that God discovers if He can trust you with the public. It's in the little that He measures if He can give you the much. Most people want to be seen before they are molded. They want to be used before they are formed. They want to conquer before they obey in the smallest thing. But God works the opposite way. He acts like a sculptor. He starts with the raw block, with the parts no one sees. He refines in the silence. He applies pressure in the hidden areas. He chips away pieces that don't make sense to you, but they make sense for the purpose. And this is where many people give up, because the process is silent. There is no applause. There is no confirmation. There is no evidence that it's worth continuing. There is only you and God. Just that. And in the vision of heaven, that is enough. Every great biblical story begins with someone being faithful where no one is looking. David tending sheep that weren't even his. Joseph serving as a slave and prisoner. Ruth gleaning heads of grain in the field. Gideon threshing wheat in secret. All of them were publicly promoted but secretly tested. The question is, how do you behave when no one is watching? How do you serve when no one recognizes it? How do you pray when no one applauds? It is there that God evaluates what He can do with you in this next season. It's easy to think that great miracles come from great actions. But almost always in the Bible, God simply used a small step, a gesture, a simple act, an apparently insignificant obedience. The miracle wasn't in the grandeur of what the person did, but in the disposition of the heart to obey. Look at some examples that seem too small to have an impact. The widow who made a small cake for Elijah. Elisha's servant who just threw salt into a bitter spring. Peter who simply cast the net on the right side. Joshua who walked one daily lap around Jericho. God always hides the extraordinary inside the ordinary. He tests your obedience in the detail, in what seems irrelevant, in what we could easily ignore, because it is there that He sees if your heart is aligned. And perhaps today God is asking you for something small. Just start praying again. Ask for forgiveness. Close that door. Start something simple. Obey in this, even if it doesn't make sense. But you are waiting for something bigger, something more spiritual, something more worthy of a change of season. But God is saying, first be faithful in the little, then I will give you the much. The next season doesn't begin with a huge miracle, but with a small obedience. This is where a lot of people get lost, because being faithful in the little sounds good in words, but in practice it can be painful, very painful. Being faithful when everything is going well is easy. Being faithful when everything is going wrong, that's when the heart is tested. It's when you pray and the sky seems closed. It's when you sow and nothing grows. It's when you obey and nothing changes. It's when you do the right thing and pay a price for it. It's when you try hard and see no result. It's when everyone else moves forward, but you remain still. Faithfulness hurts when it seems like God is silent. But God's silence is not absence. It is construction. It is maturation. It is preparation. It's easy to give up when the process hurts. But here is the strongest spiritual truth of this segment. The faithfulness that matters most to God is the one you choose when everything in you screams to stop. When you remain on the path even without seeing the end. When you keep praying even when you're tired. When you keep believing even when disappointed. When you keep obeying even without understanding. The pain does not mean abandonment. It means God is refining you to place something greater in your hands. Pain is the soil where great callings grow. And the entire heaven watches when a child of God decides to remain faithful precisely when they are hurting. This is the kind of faithfulness that opens doors. This is the kind of faithfulness that attracts God's favor. This is the kind of faithfulness that inaugurates a new season. Because God always sees. Always. He never misses a gesture. He never ignores a prayer. He never forgets a seed. Faithfulness in the hidden opens doors in the public. Faithfulness in the small unlocks the great. Faithfulness in the pain attracts God's favor. And perhaps your next season is waiting for just this, that you continue to be faithful today. There are moments in life when you look around and ask yourself, is everything I'm doing really worth it? Is this silent effort leading anywhere? Does God see this? And perhaps today you are exactly at that point, doing the best you can, but seeing no immediate results. But there is a spiritual truth that can totally change how you view your current phase. What you do in the little is exactly what defines the ground where God will build the great. The next season doesn't start tomorrow. Starts today, now, at this moment, in how you respond to what you have in hand. Imagine a cinematic scene. The shot opens on a small seed in the palm of a hand. No one values it. No one comments. No one notices. It's just a seed, nothing more. But to someone who understands spiritual processes, that seed is an entire universe. Because God begins miracles where man only sees insignificance. Before God delivers growth, He allows you to live seasons where almost nothing seems to change. Not because He wants to frustrate you, but because He wants to form you. Faithfulness in slow seasons proves two things: if you are ready, and if your heart is firm enough not to collapse when the great arrives. Before the door opens, God observes. How do you react to the delay? How do you respond to the invisible days? How do you manage what you have? How do you treat people who can give you nothing in return? How do you behave when you are exhausted, but you need to continue? It is in these small tests, sometimes imperceptible, that God defines your spiritual maturity index. Because pay attention, no great calling is born of impatience. Every great season is born of constancy, and you are only constant when you are committed, even without emotion. There are 3 spiritual stages every person goes through before entering the next season. The phase where God silences. Silence is not absence, it is preparation. The phase where God prunes. He takes away things you called necessary, because they weren't. The phase where God strengthens roots. The part no one sees is the part that sustains what everyone will see. And this is exactly what you may be experiencing now. On the outside, it looks like nothing is changing. On the inside, God is moving you profoundly. He is teaching you to depend. He is teaching you to trust without evidence. He is teaching you to rest while obeying. He is teaching you not to base your faith on what you see, but on what He promised. Because the phase that seems stagnant is the phase that accelerates everything in the spiritual world. Some days you wake up inspired. Some days you wake up tired. Some days you wake up confident. Some days you wake up broken. But faithfulness doesn't depend on this. Faithfulness is a choice. It is a posture. It is an internal conviction. It is you saying, even if nothing flowers today, I continue. Even if no one recognizes me today, I remain. Even if it hurts today, I do not abandon it. Even if it seems small, I treat it as great, because it is for God. And this posture changes everything. It changes your spiritual life. It changes your mindset. It changes your character. It changes what heaven can release in your direction. Because heaven moves when you remain faithful, even when you are hurting. The world rewards performance. God rewards faithfulness. Maybe you think, but I am capable. I have talent. I could be further along. Yes, that might be true. But God is not looking at your talent before the time. He is looking at your foundation. Because without character, the much destroys you. Without maturity, the great knocks you down. Without a firm identity, promotion suffocates you. So He prepares you in the small to protect you in the great. He molds in the hidden to sustain you in the public. He adjusts details to prevent tragedies later on. The current season is proof that God is not punishing you. He is guarding you. He is not delaying you, He is deepening you. And the deeper the root, the bigger the tree. God never asks for faithfulness without purpose. Everything you are doing today, what no one sees, values, or understands, is being planted in the spiritual world. And every planting has a law. Heavy check mark, it grows at the right time. Heavy check mark, it flowers in the right season. Heavy check mark, it bears fruit at the right moment. Perhaps you are in the soil phase, dark, hidden, shapeless. But God is saying, continue, because the season is already on the horizon. Every silent prayer, every renunciation, every effort, every correct action, every small obedience, every tear held back, all of this is being counted. All of this is being recorded. All of this is creating the environment for your turnaround. Because faithfulness never returns empty. It always returns as a harvest. And when God decides to turn the page, no one will be able to explain how you advanced so quickly. Your faithfulness in the little will be the window that opens the next season. The final key, the moment of activation. There is a moment in the spiritual journey when everything that seemed silent becomes audible, everything that was hidden becomes visible, and everything that was stagnant begins to move. This moment is not the result of luck, nor coincidence, nor human effort. This moment is the result of faithfulness. It is when God looks at you, not at your performance, but at your heart, and says, "Now, this is his time. This is her time. They are ready." And when God declares a now over someone, there is no force on earth, in hell, or in human history that can stop it. Imagine this in slow motion like a movie scene. The clouds that were dense begin to part. A gentle, warm light envelopes the environment. The fog of doubt dissipates. The weight of waiting falls to the ground. And suddenly you realize, my God, he was preparing me all this time. There is a spiritual atmosphere that accompanies the change of season. You begin to feel peace where there was once restlessness. You begin to see paths where you once saw impossibilities. You begin to have clarity where there was once confusion. You begin to walk with security where there was once fear. What changed? The environment? The circumstances? No, you changed. Your interior matured. Your heart strengthened. Your root deepened. Your faith stabilized. Your character was refined. And when God sees this, he activates what was dormant. God's promotion is not impulsive. It is built, step by step, day after day, renunciation after renunciation, small obedience after small obedience. And when God decides to promote you, he doesn't just open a door. He opens the way. God doesn't just move you to another season. He gives you the spiritual capacity to sustain that season. And this is very profound, because many want the door, but few want the structure. Many want the new, but few want to be molded for the new. Many want the raise, but few want the process that sustains the raise. But God is not in a hurry. He has purpose. And God's purposes never rush, they mature. You are not delayed. You are being structured. The moment immediately before spiritual promotion is often the most challenging. You feel like you're at your limit, that you are tired, that you can't wait anymore, that you've done everything you could, that perhaps nothing will happen. It's the moment the soul asks, was it worth being faithful? And it is at this point that God asks for something very profound. Surrender, not quitting. Surrender, not abandonment. Surrender, not revolt. Surrender. Surrender the fear. Surrender the expectations. Surrender the control. Surrender the desire to see the result now. Because only when you let go, does God take hold. Only when you rest, does God act. Only when you disarm your heart, does God release what was held back. It's as if he waits for you to say, Lord, I did my best. Now only your action can complete what I started. This is the exact point where heaven moves. Pay attention to this. God doesn't change your season to then change you. He changes you to then change your season. This is the spiritual sequence. That's why when the new time arrives, you realize that your vision has changed, your sensitivity has increased, your peace has grown, your faith has become firmer, your identity has become clearer, your dependence on God has become deeper. You do not enter the next season as the same person who entered the previous one. And do you know what the greatest evidence is that God is about to release a new phase? It's not when doors open. It's when you realize you are different. When you realize that what used to shake you no longer controls you. That what hurt you no longer limits you. That what held you back no longer dominates you. That what stole your peace no longer troubles you. This is spiritual maturity. It is profound transformation. It is God displacing you internally to promote you externally. Every preparation culminates in a moment, a divine instant, an exact point on the spiritual timeline. It's like the rainy season. No matter how long the sky was closed, when the day arrives, the rain comes. So it is with God. There is a set day for your advancement, a marked time for the turnaround, a perfect moment for the harvest. And he says, I saw your faithfulness in the little things, and now the much has come. When this moment arrives, you feel that unexpected doors begin to appear, that opportunities arise effortlessly, that the right connections appear naturally, that what you tried for years begins to flow, that what was stagnant releases, that what seemed dead revives. Because God's now is irresistible, and no one, Absolutely no one can stop it. If you've made it this far, you now know God did not forget you, ignore you, leave you behind, or abandon you in an endless season. He was and continues to build you. Faithfulness in the little is never too small for God. It never goes unnoticed. It is never ignored in heaven. Every prayer no one saw, God saw. Every tear shed in silence, God collected. Every renunciation you made for His love, God noted. Every seed of obedience you planted, God guarded. And when the time comes, and it will come, you will understand, the little was the training, the little was the foundation, the little was the test, the little was the preparation, the little was the platform for the much. The next season will not be small. It will not be weak. It will not be random. It will be proportional to the faithfulness you had when no one was watching. And when God raises you up, because He will, no one will be able to say it was luck. It will be the fruit of faithfulness. It will be the fruit of constancy. It will be the fruit of dependence. It will be the fruit of surrender. And it will be so clear, so powerful, so supernatural, that even those who doubted will recognize the hand of God is upon this person. So today, more than motivation, I want to leave you with a spiritual invitation. Continue to be faithful in the little. Continue to obey in the small things. Continue to trust God's timing. Continue to offer your heart before offering your plans. Because when God promotes, He promotes completely. He promotes at the perfect time, in the perfect environment, before the right people, in the exact season. And perhaps, just perhaps, you are much closer to that turnaround than you imagine. Before you leave this video, I want to ask you 3 simple but very important things. Subscribe to the channel. This helps me continue to bring content that strengthens your faith and draws you closer to God. Leave your like. YouTube delivers this message to many more people when you like it. Comment below. I will be faithful in the little. This will be your prophetic act today. Thank you for staying until the end. May God surprise you in the next season. And may it be marked by favor, growth, and doors that only He can open. I'll see you in the next video. God bless you powerfully.